You're listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast.
Welcome to the Business Brain Food Podcast, the show business owners listen to when they want to take their business to the next level. Head to businessbrainfood.com.au to catch up on past episodes and access show notes from every episode. Now, here's your host, Ben Futrell.
Well, welcome back to the Business Brain Food Podcast. This, my friend, is the podcast that is 100% devoted to taking you and your business to the next level. And the good news is, no matter what business you're in, there's always something you can do to take our business to the next level. Even if you're just scratching that entrepreneurial itch and you may be just starting out, or you're like myself and you've been in business for a long, long time and you've got the scars and the wounds to prove it, there is always something to do to take our business to the next level. And today is a very, very special day. I'm joined today by Nicole Clarke Baines. Nicole, I have known for many, many years in the business circles. She's an amazing woman, an entrepreneur that has built a weight loss coaching business across 8 countries with 2,500 people in her team. Now, before we talk to Nicole, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by MaxMyProfit.com.au. The team at MaxMyProfit help you build the business you imagined. So if you imagined having a business that was easier to run, was more profitable, maybe you enjoyed it more, or gave you the time, freedom and money to do things that you love in your life, instead you've got a business that you've built that is hard to run and awkward and not much fun at all, then maybe you need to talk to the team at MaxMyProfit.com.au and see how they can help you build the business that you imagined. Alrighty, so as I said, Nicole Clarke Baines built an amazing business across 8 countries, 2,500 people in the team. I've known Nicole for about 15 years. I met her through a Chamber of Commerce here in the Hills region of northwestern Sydney as she was building her own business, and then developed a passion for small business after studying business and law herself. She started, built and sold multiple businesses, but now runs, as I said, a weight loss coaching business across 8 countries with 2,500 in the team. And that's where I've met Nicole most recently. And because this is not visual, you can't really tell, but I have lost a lot of weight having the amazing Nicole coach me over the last sort of 8 months. I've lost 30 kilos. Welcome to the Business Brain Food Podcast, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my absolute pleasure. And nothing excites me more than being able to talk to entrepreneurs that are making a huge difference. And you are making a huge difference in many people's lives, aren't you?
Oh, I hope so. That's the plan.
So tell us a bit about what initially sparked your fire in your belly to start a business.
Oh, originally in business, I think as a little girl, I always wanted a big life. And I'd seen mum and dad were both tradies. So mum was a seamstress, dad was a glazier, and I'd seen them work really, really hard. And still they had quite a small life. And I figured I wanted more than that. But I knew that if I was going to have that kind of life, I'd have to do more than just go to work, that I needed some assets that were going to work for me. So I think even as a kid, I knew that I wanted a different life to mum and dad. And I figured as I grew up and learned, I think at school, probably in commerce and economics in year 11 and 12, I learned that a business would probably offer more than a job would.
Yeah, okay. And what was your first business?
I started, God, that's a great question. My first business... My husband at the time and I had a security training company. So we lived in Tamworth. He was employed by the New South Wales Police and he had an opportunity to do some training of security guards. And so we had a bit of a monopoly in the Tamworth region training security guards in, to get their licenses. So that was our very first business. And then... Oh, look, I've had so many different ventures like most entrepreneurs, I suppose. Through the years, I've done all different kinds of things. I always, as a kid, wanted to be a teacher. And so a lot of the things that I've been involved with have revolved around teaching or educating other people. And so I helped set up a professional development training company here in the business park here, the Norwest Business Park. That was really good. I have spent some time business coaching with a group called Sherlaws. And what else have I done? I had a company that was a strategic alliance consulting practice, so working between corporates and charities to help them form mutually beneficial partnerships. And then I set up the most recent business before this one that I'm in now, which is called All My Admin, and we did administration services for chambers of commerce and small business. Exhausting, absolutely exhausting that business was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why was that? What made the business exhausting, do you think?
It was reliant on me.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Fully reliant on me. And so whilst I think business is definitely a vehicle that can provide leveraged income, I did not get that sorted in that business, and it started to consume me. And off the back of that, I got very unhealthy, working too long, sedentary, just sitting behind a computer all day, not eating properly. I ended up putting on a lot of weight and getting very sick, and that's when I needed something different.
Yeah, and then that's what actually led you then into this health coaching or the weight loss coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you've been down the journey yourself of losing weight. So you've lost 25 kilos.
Correct.
And kept it off. And now, I mean, I don't know how many thousands of people you must have helped with a team of 2,500. Have you got an idea of how many you've now made an impact on?
Look, I don't know. And what's really interesting is that even though there's, say, 2,500 clients that have been through the program, you know yourself, Ben, that your family, there's a lot of people around you that are watching and changing some of the things they're doing without officially signing up to do our program. So I don't know. The ripple effect is profound. It's certainly not what I expected would happen when I decided to lose some weight myself, but I'm very proud of what we're doing.
Yeah. Did you think there's some sort of a formula for entrepreneurs to be successful? I mean, you talked before about that previous business being really exhausting and that you'd built that business so it relied a lot on you. Is there a formula for being successful to get that leveraged income out of a business?
Yeah, I think you definitely need a system. So it doesn't really matter what kind of service you're in. If you want leverage, unless you're an artist, a Justin Bieber type artist whose time is worth a lot of money, your income's always going to be capped out by how much time you've got to spend and I guess what the market will pay for your time. But if you've got a system that delivers a service to someone or a client base, then you've obviously got an opportunity there to leverage the income. So, and I knew that. Deep inside, I knew that. And strangely enough, that's what all my admin did. We helped other businesses systemize their business. But I think we made it too complex. We complicated things instead of keeping them simple. So a simple, proven system that works, I think, is essential if you want to leverage your time. And I think a business that if you can find a business that will build people instead of using people to build your business, I think that's the key to success. If you can find a business that allows you to build and grow people, right? And, Richard Branson talks about that. Look after your people and your business. They'll take care of your business.
Yeah, that's a great distinction, isn't it? So find a business that builds people rather than
using people to build
your business. Yeah.
That's right.
Was there a point in time? I mean, it sounds like that your previous business was pretty successful in the fact that you were that busy. At what point in time did you realise that it wasn't giving you the leverage income that you want, and that it was really bad for your health? That it was driving you into the ground.
I think. Any new business, because I've been around business a lot, and I think any new business, there's a period at the beginning where you're so excited. You're a bit apprehensive, but you're very excited, and the adrenaline just carries you for a while. But then all of a sudden you hit like a brick wall, and reality hits you that this is not what it was cut out. This isn't what I thought it would be. This is not what it's cut out to be. And I think for me that happened at about probably 6 to 9 months in. I knew we didn't have the formula right, but I stayed for 4 years. I stayed. Oh, that was not smart. That was silly. I should have either gotten help or gotten out.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of business owners are doing that though. They've got businesses that are really hard to run. They're tiring. They're not making the money they expected, but they stay. So why would you stay in that? What makes you stay?
I think for me, it was my baby. It was a child. The idea was mine. I felt like I'd been pregnant with that idea for a long time. And I hadn't I gave birth to it, but I hadn't yet seen this thing mature. And so I just kept believing, I'll just stay a bit longer, I'll stay a bit longer, we'll get there. It just hasn't grown up yet. And it was very hard to admit defeat. So there's a bit of ego and a bit of pride there. Very hard for me to let go and admit that I'd made a very grave mistake with that particular venture. And it cost me a lot of money. It felt almost at times like I was gambling. I'll just throw a bit more mud at the wall and hope something sticks. And it there just comes a point where you just have to face the truth.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah. So how long do you stick with an idea before you give up?
I don't know the answer to that. I think that's different for everybody. I would like to think that if I had that time over again, I'd cut my losses a whole lot sooner.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't even know. I don't know why I stayed. For me, I think definitely out of those things I just described, probably the biggest of all was pride.
Yeah.
I didn't want to admit that I didn't have it sorted.
So when you started that business off, because it's quite often we can learn a lot rather from the failures rather than from the successes. When you kicked off that business, did you go into that with a business plan and a clear idea of what it was you were going to do?
No, we didn't. And that was the first time I'd really set a business up without a plan. It came as an opportunity was laid before me, and I grabbed the opportunity without actually thinking it through and planning it out. And in hindsight, I think that's what we did all the way through that 4 years. We just chased shiny lights instead of stopping and thinking, about whether or not we were heading down the right path, whether we were doing the right things at the right time in the right way. We didn't do that enough, nowhere near enough.
So some important lessons there, isn't there?
Oh, massive.
So for anybody that was starting off in business, they've got a great idea and they're really passionate about giving birth to their baby, to put it in your words. What advice would you have for them?
Well, firstly, get some help, get some advice from someone. I'm all about getting a coach, and you need to sit down and work out a business case. Is there actually a need for this idea that you've got? Is there a need in the market? Who's doing it? Who are the leaders in the field, and what are they doing? And how can you either be better than them, or how do you carve out some space for yourself? So just doing that business case in the beginning. What are people prepared to pay for your service? All of that. Just do all of that work. But I don't think certainly small business owners have got the perspective to be able to do that for themselves alone. I think they really need to engage somebody to help them with that. I would definitely do that if I had my time over.
Yeah. And do you think that would have made a different result for you, do you think? Or?
I definitely think I would have. I don't know if we would have actually gone into that business.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, I probably would have had to think about that. Think about an administration business where all the staff are located in an expensive office in Northwest Sydney. They're all Australians. They are all paid award wages in Australia. And when now VA services are available from all over the world at a portion of the price, that's what we're up against. We didn't do our homework. We didn't do our due diligence, and we paid a dear price for that.
Yeah. So having now been in many businesses over many years, and obviously you've coached many as well, having been a business coach, what is the one thing that you wish you knew back in the beginning? Is there one thing that you can go, geez, I wish I knew that?
So many things, Ben, so many things. I think the one thing, I don't know, we talk about personalities, and my personality is one, so I describe myself as a choleric. I don't know how you would describe me, but that's how I describe myself. And so I can be very determined, and I can be very single-minded and get out of my way. I've got a goal and nothing is going to get in the way of me achieving that goal. I wish I knew that if I allowed people to guide me, life could have been a whole lot easier. I don't have to do everything myself. I wish I knew that.
Yeah.
That I could trust people.
Isn't that a good lesson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm asking people to trust me, really, with the most precious thing they own, their health.
Yeah. And have you heard that saying that nothing great was ever achieved alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Because, we're very similar personalities, and I think I've had the same, learning in the last 5 years in particular for me, that you do need to trust other people and get them to help you on your journey. What has been your favourite part of being an entrepreneur?
The freedom to do life my way, on my terms.
Yeah, okay.
That was what I was really chasing, and I do love coming up with my own ideas. I love that. I love that you can, as an entrepreneur, you can dream something up and go after it. You can go after all your dreams and goals. I've been employed throughout my career. There have been times where I've actually been employed in corporate roles, and your life's not your own. Your life is not your own. Now, at times when I was in that previous business, I felt like my life wasn't my own. I felt like my clients really owned me. I don't feel like that now, but I certainly felt like that when I was employed. There was an expectation that you show up and you're at the same place every day and you do what they tell you to do. I don't like living life that way. I like living life on my terms. Today I just told you I've been on for a 2.5-hour walk. And
I said, why? And you went, because
I want to. Yeah, that's what I want to do today. It's a sunny day. And I love that I can do life on my terms. I think that's the best part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And what's your least favourite part?
The risk. It's an adventure. It's exciting, but there is always a risk that what you're doing may not work. And as a single mother, that's been scary for me at times.
Yeah. So how do you manage that? I mean, how do you manage the risk? Because there is always going to be a risk in starting a business, isn't there? And you can never always predict. I mean, before we hit record, we talked about the fact that stuff happens in life. There's always going to be stuff go wrong. So how do you manage that? How do you, damage control or risk mitigation for you? What do you do?
I think having learned some very valuable lessons, I do now have a brains trust around me. I've surrounded myself with the most incredible mentors and leaders. They keep an eye on me. I think that's the number one thing. That's the number one piece of advice I'd have for anybody not just in business, but in life. Surround yourself with incredibly intelligent, caring people who have got their eye on you and who are brave enough to have a difficult conversation with you when it needs to be had.
Yeah, because that's one of the things. I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up because I think a lot of people that are your friends or close family sometimes aren't actually comfortable having that conversation, are they? So how do you make
They're not with me. People like me, for sure. It's tough. I will shut things down. I will, I can be hard to get along with. And so for sure people around me have got I've got strong, emotionally stable people that have done a lot of work on themselves around me now.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed with the people that I've got around me at the moment.
And how did you go about building that team of mentors? Is that something that happened just by chance? Did you go and seek people?
All throughout my career, I've had, even as a kid, I had beautiful teachers. So teachers have always been really important to me. I had some... even in year 12, my parents were busy working. I already mentioned that. And I wanted to play hockey. And I had a teacher who saw something in me, and she would come on a Saturday to our house, get me and take me to play hockey with her in her adult grown-up women's hockey team. So there's always been incredible people that have just landed around me. And the same when I was working in a corporate role, I was young, I had a very big team of people. I didn't know what I was doing, but I always have found myself thrust into these leadership positions. And I've just been fortunate that there've been really great people around me. I do live a very wholesome life. I'm not someone who has ever sort of been a wild child or anything like that, so I'm quite sensible, and so I think I've just attracted great people around me. I haven't really sought them out, but I don't tolerate nonsense. So if there's people around me who are shallow or who are emotionally unstable, they don't tend to get too close to me. They don't feel safe. I'm interested in deep, integrous people in my life. And so, yeah.
So you sort of attract those in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people, I mentioned before you've got 2,500 people in your team now, and a lot of business owners would probably be, thinking, probably scared at the thought of having 20 in their team. I mean, how do you go about managing such a large team and having such a big team?
That's the winning part of this business that I'm in now. And we have an amazing system. You know it, Ben, it's worked for you. Our program that helps people get healthy is simple. It's an 8-point system. It's easy to do, and therefore it's easy to teach. And so of that 2,500 people, there's about 140 coaches now. And so you'll have, you learn it, you do it, you teach it. And along the way, we're just accumulating or attracting and growing a team of coaches who are on mission. They feel the same as us out of the overflow of their hearts for what has been given and done for them and to them. They now want to help other people have the same experience, so they're willing to learn. And because it's so simple, it doesn't take a lot of time in the beginning, and a lot of them are involved in other activities, either working or they've got their own businesses. This isn't their A game, like it is for me now, or their plan A rather, not their A game, their plan A. But I've got, oh my goodness gracious, I've got some amazing leaders that are working as part of my team now. And they're people I didn't even know before I started in this, on my own weight loss journey. And I mean, we knew each other, but we didn't really work closely together in any way. But, I'm so excited about what even you and what you're able to do now with the influence that you've got. I'm on mission to get the world healthy. And I'm just looking for people who want to do the same thing.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? I think and one of the things I've learned from the Weight Loss Coaching Works business is the importance of having a clear vision, and that's something that I think everybody is really clear on. It doesn't matter whether you're a coach inside the organisation or if you're a client just getting coached. It seems that vision is very much front of mind. How important do you think that is in growing a business and getting a team really excited?
It's the most important thing. It's the most important thing. You can talk to people about how to do something till the cows come home, but until they know why they're doing it, it's meaningless. It's just another job. It's just something it's something on the to-do list. So if you can help someone get clear about the type of life they want, and in detail, not just a cloudy, foggy, distant view of what you want your life to look like, but a crystal clear picture, right down to I want a red helicopter that seats 4 people in it at some point in my life. That's something I want, and there's reasons for that. If you can help people get clear on the things they want and how they want to live their life, then the day-to-day grind that they have to do to make that happen becomes so much easier for them. And it doesn't matter whether that's a job that they've got to go off to every day to earn money to help that dream come to life, or whether it's a business that they're developing, same thing. The outcome is the same, and it's always to have the life that they want. So I think the dream and the goal for your life and clarity around that is the number one thing everyone should be doing. Doesn't matter whether they're working or whether they've got a business.
Yeah.
Get clear.
So that's their own personal goals. What about the business vision and mission as well? Like, I mean, it's one thing to have goals for yourself.
Yep.
But how important is it that the team really gets enrolled in the vision of the company? Because I think one of the things that, with health, it seems a very emotional thing. And I think that because people start this journey by getting healthy themselves, I think they really buy into it. How would somebody adopt that to their own business? Let's say it was a plumbing business or the systems business that you had.
Yeah.
How did you go about enrolling your team in getting excited about doing that?
Well, we talked a lot in the beginning about, why are we doing this? What is this business really delivering to people? And it was, for me, it's always come back to freedom. So even in that, as a business, you imagine just sitting there talking to these girls all day about Excel spreadsheets and CRMs and, how do we systemize the back end of that website? It's boring. But when we would sit, maybe quarterly, or sometimes we'd get together every Friday. There'd be seasons where I felt that we really needed that, and there are other times where it was okay to just keep the flow going of the work. But there were times when we would get together as a team, there would always be a conversation about that, Ben. What are we actually doing here? It's not really about the spreadsheets or the websites. It's about delivering these poor small business owners a little bit of time back so they can spend time with their family and their do whatever they want to do, what they've been put on this earth to do, which is probably not put pipes under a house if they're a plumber. There's probably way more to it for them. But for us in that business, it was about freedom, providing freedom. Husbands and wives, you think about a plumbing business. What happens of a night is the husband comes home, he's exhausted, he's got to do quotes, and the wife's doing the invoicing and the zero accounts, And we just knew that if we could help them with some of that, we were going to buy back some time for that family. So that became a very important part of our mission. So I think a mission is really important for everyone in your own life, and if you're a business owner, in your business. Yeah. And people unite around a mission.
Yeah, so important. I can't agree more. I think it's really important because it enrolls and inspires people, doesn't it? So it gets people getting out of bed each day and doing what they've got to get done.
I think it also, Ben, just on that, I think what it does, it allows people to choose with clarity about whether that is the right business for them to be working in. If you think about your employees, if as a business owner you can articulate clearly what it is you want to do with that business, your employees can decide whether that's a mission they want to join in on or not. And so it's like the geese flying in a V. It just gets you all flying in the same direction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it also becomes very obvious as an employer then when somebody doesn't fit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you can have a conversation about that. Instead of, again, use my old business as an example, instead of talking to someone in a performance management conversation about, your Excel spreadsheets aren't up to scratch, you could have a much deeper conversation about whether or not they're a fit for where we were headed as a business.
Yeah, because I think that's something a lot of people do struggle with in business, isn't it? Is having those difficult conversations. So how, if you've got somebody in your team, because it sounds to me like team is a big part of growing a business. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
I'd put the number one priority of building a great business is building a great team. So if you do have somebody who's not a good fit, you work that out pretty quickly. What do you do to manage that?
Oh, I believe self-selection is the best option. I've never had to fire anybody. Not that I wouldn't, but I've just sat down and had an open, honest conversation with the staff member. And in the end, they decide, they understand they're not a fit and they'll resign and leave. So, if they are a fit, I've always employed people who I felt had potential. I employ people for their potential, not necessarily the skill that they've got then and there. That breeds a lot of loyalty in the staff. If you can help grow and develop somebody into something more than they were when they came, then I feel like that's part of the purpose of a business as well. It's a vehicle that people can grow through. So we did spend a lot of time talking to my staff was all female, but talking to the girls about what did they want in their life, getting clear on what they wanted, and then having an understanding themselves of how this job that they had was going to deliver something more to them in their life. So I can't remember ever having to have conversations about technical skills not being up to scratch. It was always much deeper than that.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. It's such a good lesson for everybody as well, that it is, because I think I used to always say that you can, with someone with the right attitude, you can train them any skill you like. But if they've got a bad attitude, there's nothing you can do to change that.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, so important. So tell us then, so you were getting really unhealthy, you had to do something about it, so you decided to seek out some solution and you came across weight loss coaching?
Yeah, so I saw a girlfriend of mine who looked different and thought, what on earth is she doing? So I just sent her a message on Facebook Messenger and said, hey, what are you doing? You look great. And she said, it's just a simple program. I've got a coach. It's real food. It's accountability and walking. You don't have to go to the gym. And I think I'd had so many injuries over the years of gym and boot camp. That was probably the thing for me that was attractive. And she said, do you want to come and meet my coach? I said, why not? Met this beautiful angel, her name's Sue Ellen, met her, she said, come on, I'll help you. And then for 10 weeks, I put that woman through absolute hell on earth. I was the worst person in the world to coach. But after 10 weeks, I'd lost 10 kilos. I realised that a lot of my, I'll say bad behaviour, tantrum throwing, was coming from pain, physical pain and emotional pain, a lot of dissatisfaction with where I'd ended up in life. And I went in at 10 weeks, we do a weigh-in, a health check, and I went in cap in hand apologising and they all laughed. She had an army of people there to meet. She didn't want to meet me on her own. She was too scared of me.
Just in case they had to hold you
ready
down.
to cry. And I just came in and apologised and I didn't look back from there. Those people changed my life. And I'll forever be grateful for what they gave me. And out of gratitude, I then said, how can I help? I want to help other people. And people, when you get healthy, you've discovered this for yourself, that 60% of the world is overweight. There is a massive epidemic of obesity out there. There is a an epidemic of sugar-related issues. Diabetes is on the increase in Australia. There's 1 million people in Australia with diabetes,
Wow.
including kids. And we just need to tackle that. It's a big problem and it needs a big solution. And it's not going to happen with a few people. It's going to happen with an army. And I just decided, because I felt great, that I wanted to be part of that army, whatever that looked like. And it started out small. My role was just to cheer a couple of people on that followed me in. People tapped me on the shoulder and said, "What are you doing?" And I just did the same thing that Sandy had done for me and took them to Sue Ellen. And before I knew it, there was a crowd behind me, and they needed help. So, how can you say no when you're feeling so good for what's been done for you? All you want to do is offer that to other people. And when those people are dear to you, their friends and their family and people that you've known for a long time who've been struggling, you can't not help. You've got to help. And from that, I now have this massive, massive business that I never expected I would have. And it's a great business. It's great. And we're doing something worthy. I don't think there's anything more worthy I've ever done in my life than help people get their health back.
Do you think that's a real secret to success in business, is really having a purpose? Because, I mean, we hear it time and time again. If you go into business to make money, you're likely to fail because people smell that rat. So do you think it is imperative to have a real worthy purpose to be successful?
I think you can have a purpose no matter what. You can attach purpose to anything you do. And it's just understanding how to make what you do, the grind that you go through every day, how do you turn that into something more purposeful? If you don't think deeply about these things, it's easy to just think it's a job. I hate my job. I hate my life. But if you think about how you can use, I think everything we do, every conversation we have, every action that we take, there's an opportunity to add value to the world. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if it's laying pipes. It doesn't matter. What value am I offering the world today? And when you start to really understand that for yourself, life becomes, it's just different. There's a lot of joy in life when you know that what you're doing is actually adding value to the world. I think we should all think a little bit more seriously about that.
Yeah. And isn't health an interesting thing? I mean, how have you found your ability to be more productive and effective since getting healthy yourself? I know for me it's been amazing, but what about
unbelievable. On about day 3 of this journey, everybody says it. Once you get the sort of toxins, sugar, a lot of time gluten, people are addicted to white bread and pastas and things like that, and sugar is in everything. Day 3 of this program, all of a sudden it's like the fog lifts and you start to see the world differently. It's very exciting when you hear, and people say that over and over and over again. And, I felt sluggish. I would come home every night and be exhausted from life. Now you can't hold me down. I sleep less. I should be sleeping more than I do, but I sleep less. I just don't need to. I'm excited about life. I think purpose gives you energy, but also eating properly gives you energy. Good nutrition at a cellular level will give you so much energy you won't know what to do with yourself. And you do become more effective. No matter what you're doing, you become more effective.
And why do you think business owners, I mean, maybe you could talk about yourself, why would you let it get to the point where it is, where you are sluggish, you're not feeling good? Why does that happen, do you think?
I think you just get trapped. I think it's habits and it's routine, and probably nobody, I don't know, my kids used to say, "Mum, what are you doing? What are you doing, Mum?" But I didn't listen to them. I don't know. I was going to say maybe people don't call you on it, but they were calling me on it, and I didn't really listen to that. I was just in this rut, this terrible, unhealthy rut. And I've really spent a lot of time learning. I've spent so much time reading books and listening to audios and attending events and conferences just to work on my own leadership now that I've got such a big following. And I think, I don't know where I was going with that, but I think you just need to, I don't know why I did it. I don't know how we get ourselves into the mess that we get into, Ben. I really don't. What happened to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, for me, it's as a business owner, I think I felt selfish looking after myself.
Right.
And putting myself before everybody else. But I've really learnt through this process, thanks to your coaching and mentoring, that you've got to put yourself first. And it's a bit like, when you get on an aeroplane and they say put your own oxygen mask on first, because you're useless, really.
True.
I mean, you think about you're providing these services for people in that previous business where you thought you were giving them their freedom back and their life back, but you were taking your own away, making it happen. And instead of being selfish, and I don't know, I mean, people are very giving by nature. They want to be giving, regardless, even if you get burnt a few times. So I think maybe that, for me, that's what it was I felt selfish looking after myself, where I've worked out, I do have to carve out some time.
You do.
Yeah.
You need margin. I think now that you say that, I think I was in the crisis occurred when my marriage broke down for me, and being a single mum, I probably lived out of there was probably a lot of fear there. I've got to keep working because I've got to keep a roof over the head of these kids. And I think I was probably in survival mode, thinking if I just work a bit harder, and knowing a lot of small business owners, I think there are a lot of small business owners in the same boat. They might not have had a personal crisis like I did, but they can sense that things are not working, and they think that the answer is just to work harder at the expense of not only their health but their relationships with their family, their extended family, their joy. They're not enjoying it anymore, really. I wasn't enjoying it. But you keep going because you're in survival mode, and you just tell yourself this lie that if I can just do a little bit more or work a little bit harder, then it'll all be okay. But then for a lot of my clients now, a health crisis emerges as a result of those daily decisions. That's what I started to say before at the education. I think you are either on the trajectory towards health or unhealth by your daily choices. And I don't think it's a decision anybody makes to choose unhealth, but that's where we end up because of our daily choices. So it's really not a matter of I just did this one thing. It's all of the things. It's not eating properly. It's not eating often enough. It's not getting enough sleep. It's not moving enough. It's not drinking enough water. It's drinking too much alcohol. So it's maybe a lot of people smoking still. So there's a lot of things that people do that contribute to their state of health, not just one thing.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it, to think that it's that book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect.
So good.
It's the little things. It's not one big thing. No. It's lots of little things compounding into a result. And if they're little positive things, it's a positive result. But unfortunately, if they're negative things, it's a negative result. So, at what point did you go? This is me. This is my future. Because you came into it. By your friend who'd lost weight to get healthy yourself. And at some point you must have gone, wow, there's an opportunity here for me to do something that I love, but also there's a demand for. Yeah.
So she kept asking me to come and join her coaching team. And I kept saying, no, thank you. I've already got 2 businesses. And I was still trapped in those businesses. But along the process of getting healthy myself, I did realise that actually that all my admin, that business was killing me. The Strategic Alliance Consulting practice had been put to the side because all my admin was all consuming. It was like, oh. So I'd learned through the coaching process that unless I made some changes in my life, you say it really well, if you want something to change, you've got to do something differently. And so she taught me that things needed to change, but it took a while before I was prepared to lay that business down. And I think what happened actually, she went on a holiday, and I love that girl so much for what she gave me. And I could see her just putting photos on Facebook of her with her family in Whistler skiing. And I was back here in Sydney, and I was helping encourage a lot of the clients in her team. And I just wanted her to have a break. So I stepped up. And that's what's happened to me in my business. Leaders show themselves. Leadership is taken. It's not given, right? So when you've given something precious to a leader, they will step up and they will run with it. And that's what happened to me. I just stepped up. And Sandy, she says that she would be late at night. She'd be checking messages from her clients, laying in her bed, and the only other person that was on the groups. We run through all our coaching's done through Messenger, and she'd see me on there as well. And she thought, I've got a running partner. Here's somebody who's stepping up. I love this girl. And we were already friends, but that's really when we became partners. And then the income that started to come from this, she started to remunerate me for what I was doing, and the income started to compare with the income I was getting from that other business. And I was getting joy out of this and I wasn't getting joy out of that. This was making me healthy. That was making me sicker. So in the end, it was a no-brainer, really. I just sold it.
Yeah.
Someone else's problem now.
Somebody else's
It's
unhealthy
not called that
problem.
anymore. I'm not going to tell you who bought it either. I don't want to do them out of a
So somebody else is doing it.
clientele.
So, I mean, we haven't got much time left, but I'm loving the chat. What do you think have been the key things that you've learned then over the last couple of years of building this new business that you really enjoy? Are there some key things that you can impart on the listeners?
Yeah, I think I've definitely learned the power of a dream. A man with a dream will not be denied.
Yeah.
We know that saying. We say that a lot. You can't stop someone with a big dream. So I've learned that. I've learned that if you look after people and you focus on how you can help them achieve their goals, that your goals will happen. If you can build a business like that, and that's what I've been able to do. I've learnt the power of duplication. A great system that can duplicate best practice. That's uncappable. That's uncappable. And I have learnt the importance of building a business around a need that is growing in the market. So, imagine being, I don't even want to say some of that, but like a Gregory's Street Directory. Imagine if that had been your livelihood. Who uses street directories anymore? So to find something that the world is screaming out for, with dire need, license to print money really, but if you can do something like we are now in the health space, it's going to change people's lives for the better. There's nothing better. So I think they're the main learnings.
Yeah, great learnings. And I think there may be some listeners now that are thinking about getting healthy or even inspired by your story of success. I mean, to go from where you were unhealthy, working crazy hours and stuck or felt like you were trapped.
And not making much money, to be honest, in that business.
Yeah, okay. So that business itself wasn't making much money. To be here today, having the freedom to do what you want. I mean, you said you can go for a 2.5 hour walk. When I said, why did you do that? So because I can.
That's it.
Before we hit record, you said I could fly up to Queensland if I wanted to go and visit someone if I needed to. That's a huge change, And
it is.
So I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of people out there listening. How do people find out more if they wanted to find out more about what you're up to and how they can get involved?
Well, they can talk to you, Ben.
Yeah.
But we have a Facebook page. So this business that I'm running now, the cost of running it is the cost of a mobile phone, really, and education. So learning, listening to some great audios and reading some books, attending some events. That's it. And I love that. But so it's all run through Facebook and Facebook Messenger, and that's free. So NB for Nicole Baines, NB Active is the Facebook page. If anyone wants to go and check it out, send me a message and say, hey, I'm one of Ben Futrell's friends. And then I'll know, where they came from.
Perfect.
But love to help more people. Come on, Ben, let's get this sorted.
Yeah, no, I'm really inspired by the vision. I love what you're doing, and we'll put a link in the show notes for that,
Thank
by the
you.
way, gang. So it's BBF Business Brain Food episode 236. So you can go to businessbrainfood.com.au and check out the show notes there. But you can just type in, if you put in Nicole or you put in 236, this episode will pop up and you can click on the links just in case you are out walking or on the treadmill at the gym or something, because quite often people listen to podcasts in those situations. So any parting advice for new entrepreneurs as we wind this up and we head into the 60-second scramble?
Work on yourself. Get someone who is strong and emotionally stable to walk alongside you. Take their feedback on the chin when they give it to you and continue to work on yourself. When you grow to be the best you can be, it doesn't matter what you do in life, you'll do a good job.
Yeah, the rest will fall into place.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm really inspired by what you're doing. Really love I think, for me, I've always been in businesses or wanted to be in business that really makes a difference. I think it's why I've been in the business coaching space for such a long time. But to be able to see such a big difference in such a short time has really fed my choleric.
Yeah,
if you
good.
Because I'm very impatient, and sometimes business can be quite slow to move, but health can actually move a lot quicker.
Very quickly.
Than I ever expected. But the lesson there is it can go the wrong way pretty quickly as well.
That's
if you're not
true.
looking after it. So you need to make sure you're looking after it. So I really love what you're doing, Nicole. I'm really
Thank you,
inspired by
Ben.
what you're up to. Really, really glad to have been following your journey as well, and now myself. So we've got a 60-second scramble to go. Where I'm going to ask you some quick questions. You're going to give me some quick answers.
Okay.
Are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I think you can handle this. You can do anything. You're like Superwoman. You ready?
Yep.
Clock is starting now. Favourite app on your phone?
Messenger.
Your favourite book?
Simple, not obvious.
Do you have a hidden talent?
Oh, hidden talent.
Yeah.
I like to do impersonations.
Well, what? Okay, we've got to have one.
No,
What have you got?
I'm not doing one. Not now. Not like that. They're impromptu.
Very impromptu, are they? I'll have to get one of those some point. What's your biggest addiction?
Oh, keeping up with the Kardashians.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
That's terrible.
Have you got a favourite drink?
Oh, alcoholic drink or
Any drink.
Green tea.
Green tea.
Yeah.
What frightens you the most?
Losing one of my children.
What's the first thing you do every Sunday morning?
Read the Bible. Same thing as I do every single day.
Favourite movie?
A Lot Like Love.
Strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh. Oysters.
Really?
I hate
Is that
them.
it? I thought
They're
you'd
horrible.
be more,
No, I haven't eaten tarantulas or anything like that.
I thought you'd be more adventurous. And we'll finish it up on this. Have you got a inspirational quote or favourite inspirational quote that you can share with the listeners?
Be still and know that I am God. I'm a Christian girl. I need to be still more often.
Lovely. Well, thanks again for joining us. You've got through that 60 seconds pretty much unscathed. Well done. All right, well, you've been listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, head across to the iTunes store, your favourite podcast player, leave an honest review or rating. We do read them all. And if you want to click on any of the links or you want to find out any more information about the chat that I had with Nicole Clarke Baines today, you can head across to businessbrainfood.com.au, and all the links of anything that we mentioned, whether it was books or podcasts or it could be websites, Facebook pages, all the links will be there. Amazing show note writer Mike will make sure they're there for us. Big shout out to you, Mike. You do a great job. One of our unsung heroes of the podcast. He's been writing our show notes for 200 and something episodes now and doing a great job. So keep going with that, Mike. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, as I said, make sure you head across to the iTunes store, leave an honest review or rating. And today's episode was brought to you by MaxMyProfit.com.au. The team at MaxMyProfit is expanding, and we're looking for business accelerators to help business people build the business they imagine. So if you're a business coach, consultant, or advisor who'd like to become one, and you want to join an amazing team with a huge support system and backup and support for you as you grow your own business, head across to maxmyprofit.com.au, click on the About tab and learn about becoming a business accelerator. Well, you've been absolutely marvellous for listening until the end of the podcast. I've been Ben Futrell. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next week, have a very profitable day. See ya.